Vibe TV. Watch it. Watch it. Watch it.
Yours truly, Papa Wabe, representing Reggae Vibe TV with my good friend, my good brother, long time, Rastaman, David, Steel Pulse Hines.
Wabe, respect. How's your youth?
You for growing strong.
All right.
We give thanks for that. And you see us, we have our COVID mask on now because this is the times we're living in. The last time I reasoned with the man face to face was in Philly. COVID wasn't even no mention, no dream.
No.
Then I seen him in Jamaica. I didn't buck up on him, but I seen him in Rebel Salute. Marched up the place. Okay? But right after that, COVID come in strong. So now with that, David, how you been keeping since the COVID thing, man?
Wow, the COVID has made everybody, including myself, learning how to reinvent ourselves. Where, for quite a while, of course, there was no touring for a good part of 2 years. So one started to, do more collaborations with different people, and we did collaborations with Ira Terra and then Revolution. There's another band in Italy, reggae band that was celebrating the 40th anniversary, featured me on it. There was a compilation album that I did for Van Halen when Eddie Van Halen passed a year ago, and I was invited by some producer down in New York to put out a record based on one of his tracks. I can't even remember the name of the song here right on the top of my head, but it was one of that shows, which was one of the songs I never really heard before, because I was never really that familiar with Eddie Van Halen, apart from the little stint he did with Michael Jackson.
Right.
But we did that, and it come out on a compilation. And other than running around with sound systems, doing things for sound systems, and I sort of just dabbled as well into a very old hobby that I had, which was like fine art painting. So I was in portraits.
Yeah, man.
The portraits I've done over the past 2 years was one of Martin Luther King, where he, when he was actually arrested in 1957, when they slung him down on the counter in the police station. I did a painting of that. I'll probably send it to you.
Okay.
See. And also, because Chadwick Boseman passed away.
Yeah.
About 2 years ago. So I managed to do a painting of him as well. Of course, Muhammad Ali.
Yes, sir.
And so, all my heroes, I'm trying to bring them to life and
so you're bringing out some other creative side of yourself, and still keeping a little jingle jangle in the pocket, because bills have to pay.
Right, bills have to pay. And, but the latest one, once I get settled down, I'm gonna make an attempt to do one of Desmond Tutu. Because, he recently passed away, and he meant a lot to me also.
Yes.
Anybody who's about the struggle,
right?
You know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
That mean a lot to me.
And if people know Steel Pulse from not just this time recently, you know, with mass manipulation, but from the early days, Handsworth Revolution, then you know the lyrics and what David is saying in terms of the freedom fighters, how much they mean to him, you know. Remember the last time we was reasoning in Philly, and I told you that the CD was going to be Grammy material, and you asked me, you said, you think so? And I said, no, I know so. Okay.
We're talking about mass manipulation.
Yes, I mass manipulation.
Well, why? Go on, continue.
So that year at Third World, at Roots Radix, and
Julian Marley.
And Julian Marley.
And it was also
and
Sly and Robbie.
Yeah, Sly and Robbie with Flava and Roots Radix. They had the final battle, and an EP win it with Coffee.
Well,
now I just, you know, and all respect to her, but as a veteran, what do you have to say about how not just the Grammy thing, but how the music is kind of went in a way different from what we just said? Julian Marley, Young Marley, veteran Third World. Because right now, unless you correct me, Steel Pulse and Third World are the only still together bands that's still touring. Anybody else?
Well,
Bernie Spears kind of
well,
put
Bernie
the thing
Spears,
on
I
hold.
heard Bernie Spears coming back out again. I mean, Israel Vibration, we can't lose sight of them.
Okay, true.
Once in a while, Wailing Souls do something and stuff, and then the Mighty Diamonds do their thing and that. But let's start with the Grammy exercise first.
Yes, sir.
That took place January the 26th, 2020. And I remember it for all kinds of reasons, for us missing that Grammy, and also the fact that before going into the actual building where it was hosted, we learned there and then that Kobe Bryant just died in a helicopter crash.
Not true.
So we go in there, we sit down, and you know, the reggae category comes into play, you know, and they're saying, and there's Julian Marley with this and that, and there was Third World with this and that, and there was Sly and Robbie with this and that, and there was Steel Pulse with this, and it's like when Steel Pulse name called, the auditorium made such a noise. So it was like it was a rap. And you know, they mentioned all the other acts' names, and when it got to the name of Steel Pulse, the entire auditorium went as if they expected them to win it. So I'm there, you know, saying, well, look like I'm going to win this, and you know, have a quick speech, and then say the winner is Coffee with whatever I'm with the crown. And my daughter was mixed, because I invited my daughter as well. She came all the way from England for this, and she says, what? And I heard a voice in the wilderness say, who's that? You see what I'm saying? So that's what I saw. That's exactly what happened. To walk away with that. And
of course.
I mean, I was familiar with Coffee, but you know, hearing it that she's a new act out there, but I was kind of surprised because it was actually an EP, and it was not what we would call a traditional reggae kind of thing. That's what I'm saying. But record labels have a way of bobbing and weaving and getting what they want when they come to investing in their acts. It's like when we lost the Grammy for the first time when it was done, Black Uhuru won it with Anthem. Good album. But at the time, I was knocking around in Los Angeles, and there was a radio station, there was a phone in where the people were saying, well, the Grammy being the first thing, and who do you think is going to win this particular award? And Steel Pulse, Earth Crisis, Steel Pulse with Earth Crisis. And it's like, when the time came, it was Black Uhuru. And it's simple. Black Uhuru was splitting at that time. And people have invested a lot of money into this act. I'm not saying Black Youth is not a good act, but I'm telling you how the politics rule the thing as opposed to the content.
Right.
So I'm saying, I mean, don't get me wrong, Anthem was a good album.
Yes.
But Steel Pulse back in 1984, 1985 was the most popular thing going on at that time. We were hitting, we were filling the pier at 9,000 people every year in New York City. 9,000 people. There was no other reggae act.
I was there one of them years. So
Alright, so you know what I'm talking about. So I believe that the policy was about the band fragmenting because of all the issues they have internally, and to get them back into play and not lose as an entity, as a label. They said if we make them win it, they'll probably see reason and formulate as a band. But they never, as you can see, they remain fragmented until to this day. You see what I'm saying? But so that's what the Grammy has been about all the time.
And now for
you know, and let me just start.
Go ahead, I wanted to add something to that. But
who are Bex and who are Screw?
Right.
I don't give a rat's ass anymore.
Yes, I.
That's what I'm saying. And the reality of it is, you know, I mean, no disrespect to the Marleys them either, but from the Marleys them, especially Ziggy and Steve, they put out good products. And Damien, right? Now, once a Marley is in the category, 9 times out of 10 they're gonna win it. It's only have late now a Marley going feature and they don't win it. But they're not the Ziggies and the Steves. You know, they're the ones that are not recognized like the two elder brothers.
Right.
So you show the politics in this thing here. You see what I'm saying?
And I do, and because that's what I was going to add, because folks have to understand that the Grammy is for the American market, okay? Because Steel Pulse is big everywhere else in the world, even in America. But I understand what you're saying about the politics, and of course, when it comes to reggae, it's nothing new because reggae was one of the last added to the Grammy category. You know, when it comes to that.
Yes, and it was a well overdue category that should have been added at least 15 years before.
Exactly.
But you know, like, but back to what I'm saying now, like the whole thing. But you see, then you have the partner where it becomes a bit of a what they do from here scenario. When I say this, like for example, there was one year where, you know, Damian Marley was out there with his album. I think it was something called Stony Hill.
Yes.
And there was another album out there by Chronics.
Yes.
And since Chronics had a positive year,
chronology.
You know, Chronics, you know, was an upcoming artist at the time, and you know, he's established himself well and stuff. You know, there was this cry where, well, Chronics should not win it and blah, and because of Marley. But it was take like case. I mean, I love Chronics and I love Damien. When I listen to the album side by side, I think Damien's album clinched it.
It is.
But because of the whole policy now and everybody tired of the Marleys and winning it, there's a Chronics. But when I listen to it objectively, because I like to listen to things objectively. You see what I'm saying? I saw that. You know,
I agree. As a radio man, to me, Dread and Terrible was a better Chronics product than Chronology. To me, as a radio man, because of the content of what he was saying in his message. So I agree with that. I agree.
Yeah, so sometimes it's damn if you do, damn if you don't. And, you know, I'm sure Sir Damon probably felt a bit guilty about that, when he never had to be, because that album was a damn good album.
For the I&M to go in the studio for after so many years, and his work is hard, but we're not going to get into because we reason with Jelani and know some of the time spent in the studio, but to have a product and to put it out there and right off the cuff, get a nomination for the Grammy. How did that really set with you? Because you told us how the artist everybody was expecting, but to do all the work and then they'll say, okay, Because I already know you're a perfectionist. That's how you want to make sure. And that's as you should be, because it's what you're doing and what you're representing. So to be out there and come out the gate, how did it really make you feel in terms of you knowing that you did put in the work and that it got recognized? Like
It was good. What I liked about that particular project, that the album was made over a period of time. Because before this album, Mass Manipulation, you know, the one before it, African Holocaust, was a good 14 years gap. You know, but we were no longer with record labels. Funds was the common factor of not having, and we decided to try and do things on our own esteem, off our own backs. So after that while, but what we were hoping now, that all those years, that the ideas that we had to put on this album, that nobody else was going to come with these subjects. You know, we come with World Gone Mad, for example, Mass Manipulation is another title. The Final Call, you know, the one we did about what's going on in Africa. You know what I mean? The Satan Side.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And then Love. The
Higher Love.
Higher
all
Love.
these songs, which was the very last track to be recorded on the album.
Oh, God.
Now, all through those years, we were hoping that nobody came up with the concepts that we were coming up with this album. And as you can see, we're living in a world of mass manipulation. Because if this vaccine and this COVID and the wearing of masks is not mass manipulation, I don't know what is. So I'm saying, with what's going on in Russia, with what's going on in these countries and all this, what's going on, you know, the world gone mad. You know what I'm saying? So all these songs came to fruition long before these events took place.
That's why we need
what I'm saying.
Love Higher.
And that's what we did, because the Higher Love was the last track to be written, simply because we wanted to have make it conclusive, what we think is a solution.
Yes.
And not the love what we already generally think of as love on a higher plane. Because the love we've been generally thinking of got us this far. So what we need now is a love that's on a higher plane. You know what I'm saying? And we just have to get there.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So you ask me how I feel. It was all about putting songs out there that no one will stumble across those subject matters, especially in the reggae genre. And you know, we have a certain way of writing where it's not just about Jah Rastafari and chant on Babylon, right there and Selassie or this and that. You know, we like to play on words, play on, you know, make things thought provocative, and we were just hoping that the subject matters are not touched by anybody else. That when we deliver them, we say, oh, only Steve Pulse can write a tune like that.
And that's true, because that's why you're still standing here the test of time, because you do write like that. And your subject matter is always relevant. That's why people want to hear roller skates and bodyguard, you know, that's real relevant. All them tunes are still relevant from those times to now.
To cast
But what we want, you know, tonight, for example, we did a lot of the old songs because a lot of people, so that's where we left, that's where they left off. So I'd really like to really push more of the newer songs on the album, like Black and White or Presses that we did tonight. You know, there's Rise that we're still having, and Mass Manipulation, we still, I mean, we haven't seen each other for 2 years. So we literally haven't seen each other for 2 years. And when I say haven't seen each other, it's been like that because everybody was at different parts of the globe.
True.
You know, the drummer was in Jamaica. The first time I saw him was 3 weeks ago, after 2 years ago. After 2 years. We set eyes at each other, yeah.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same thing with the guitarists,
Wow.
the horn players.
Did y'all have to do a lot of practice when you came back?
Well, this is it. We haven't had a chance to practice the way we need to. Because every time we try to come back, all of a sudden COVID just coming into play. For example, we made an attempt to tour with the Revolution Band in July of last year. And as we went, you know, I flew from the Caribbean to England to get my visa to come into the United States. Once we land in England, we're in at this Delta variant, is like something else. And, you know, bands might have to be cancelled. And I'm looking and saying, well, do I spend money on all these hotels and flights for someone to catch COVID? Or COVID to be out there in such a state, it is such a rapid, you know what I mean, with such a rapid spread, you know, as a pandemic, that we lose all that money on tickets, flights, transportation, you know, like tour buses, and nothing's cheap. So I said, you know what, let me pull out this one and see what happened. Bam! After I suggested that, Stephen Marley pulled his tour. Quite a few rock bands did the same thing. I know the Stones had dates where they had to pull. And one by one, all these top acts. Dave Matthews called some of his band members called COVID on the tour. And the supporting act had to use or sort of offered their services as musicians that already knew Dave Matthews' song for him to complete his shows. So it was like that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everybody was like, who's decided to remain on the tours? We're catching COVID and have to close them dates down. So we made that attempt again come January. And COVID was still out there because they had the Omicron variant now, where they were saying probably not as deadly, but it was catching, you know, a lot quicker. And we said, well, so we pulled back. And I said, this time around we'll try things. So the first date we did was a couple of weeks ago in Mexico. It was a reggae festival that was happening down there, or a festival of some kind, and we decided to take a chance and participate with that. And the worst thing one can do is really do one date here in faraway places, because it's about buying a lot of plane tickets just to do one show. When the idea of a tour is to do one set of plane tickets and tour all day long, and all these tour dates will absorb the cost.
Yeah.
So I purposely decided to do the one-hour show so that at least get the guys together again and try to be familiar with each other. So that's how it's been. It's been like a minefield. It's been like a juggling act. As far as how we're doing.
And
it.
you have to be strong to deal with that, brother. So respect to the act.
It's in the character. I don't want drug squad. He was a drug squad. Like the red drug squad. He was a drug squad. Ain't got nothing to declare. Ain't got nothing to declare.
Like I said in the beginning, this is the new time that we in, folks, and one and ones feel it differently. We're sitting here, yours truly, Papa Wabe, reasoning with the iconic, good brethren, David Steel Pulse Hines. And David, I could really go on and ask you so many questions, my brother, you know, but I want you to talk to the people right now and give them some positive message from David Hines and some of the solutions that we're facing with these problems today.
Wow, I mean, the internet has been saying it all, really. I mean, we watched, my thing is still about the racism aspect of things. I mean, you know, America, you know, the past 10 years of America sort of said, whoa, wait a minute, you know, you have administrations that have come in and divided the country, but also show the country for what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? And it's like people say, hey, wait a minute, but it is what it is. And it's time for people to say, all right, let's sort this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just America, because Europe is experiencing the same thing. When Brexit took place a couple of years ago, it was really based on racism.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? So, you know, we have to solve that problem. And a lot of it is about everybody learning about their history. And learning, I'm talking about Africans, those from the Chinese diaspora, as well as the Asian diaspora and the European diaspora. All these nations and races need to learn about themselves and see why things have become the way they have become. If you see what I'm saying. And once they understand why things have come the way they've come, then they can see why people behave the way they behave.
Mm-hmm.
If you see what I'm saying.
I do, my brother, and you are speaking nothing but the truth, because as you're saying that, I'm thinking about when COVID came, how African countries were treated versus this, up until the point where when African students and people from Africa trying to get out of Ukraine, how they were treated.
Right.
Okay, so you right up till now,
right.
From this whole, not to mention before this whole, but the whole thing, and you still don't hear about on the main news media what's going on in Ethiopia. What's going on, like that part of the world don't exist no more. Okay, and it's all about, so.
I watched that article with, what do you call himself, Dr. Umar Johnson?
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting character. Like, he always finds that little. He finds that little cranny, that little nook where he has something to say, and he sort of make you really think about the situation. And one of the things that he was aired recently was, we talked about the Ukraine and the Russian invasion and all that kind of stuff. And there was a time the way the Jamaican government was vocal about it, and he's saying, well, how come you weren't vocal when Ethiopia was under the Sudan, and it's almost you say, well, wait a minute. There's our race have been subjected to similar situations where they got to be refugees and being massacred in their own backyard and stuff like that. And we as a race have nothing to say, but yet when the whole Ukraine situation taking place, we want to be in front of the line and say, yes, we defended that. So,
I've seen a couple preachers do that.
I mean, not to be sympathetic about Ukraine. Of course, we got to be sympathetic about Ukraine. We got to be sympathetic about lives that have been lost, unfairly.
Right. What's going on in Libya? Libya still ain't changed, and some of the worst human trafficking people don't talk. You have that song on National Libya, human trafficking, which is relevant, man, and people don't talk it. Okay,
we're talking about aid and poverty. We're talking about aid and poverty, and I mean, this is the 12th year since Haiti had its earthquake, and nothing's really changed. This is what I'm saying. They have a president that got assassinated last year. So the country's still in a crisis, but nobody's saying, hey, let's help this country out. So that's what I'm saying. It's like,
The racism.
yeah.
And how many billions gone to Ukraine already?
Yeah.
Okay, for death and destruction shown every day
Yeah.
on the Bluetooth.
Mhm.
But that money can't help up no American city and no other things right there. And anyway, yo, sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, so the internet, the good thing about the internet, although a lot of it is a false information, but it's made people think differently than what they used to. And what Babylon has realized now, that the people are realizing that they have more power to change the situation than they used to believe. You know,
Yes.
like in England right now, you have a prime minister, for example, was not following the rules he actually set. So he's talking about you got to stay in, you got to do this with your mask, and then there's him partying and doing the complete opposite. Then he was told to leave. You see what I'm saying? So the next thing you know, him says, okay guys, you can stop wearing your mask and all that kind of stuff, and you can do this and you free up yourself. So it showed me there and then that once the people them say, yo, the Babylon system realized that the people are realizing that they have more power than they've been led to believe. That's what's been going on. So that's a good thing about the internet. It has given people, you know, the downtrodden masses, the majority of the world who are downtrodden, you know, more confidence in themselves to make a difference.
True.
You see?
I tell you, my brother, you've touched on some things, and we can be here for the next hour giving a sermon on. But I truly give thanks for your time.
Yeah,
You
man.
know, and we're gonna do this again and again every time I cite the eye, because you always give the people and I a lot to think about, not just through your music, but through your words, sound. Okay, because some people see you and, oh, David, you know, he just sings songs, but it's more to the eye. And I do want to see your paintings.
Yes, man.
Yeah, for sure, for
so
sure.
we can put them on Reggae Vibe TV, you know.
Yes, Steve Paul saying, "Death to black and white oppressors. Death to black and white oppressors." Hey, Reggae Vibe TV, we love you.
How'd you enjoy the show?
It was amazing, as usual.
Your
Thank-
first Still Paul show?
No, this is my third, actually.
I love it. Love it.
Yes, sir.
Stay here, remember.
Post fan over 30 years, saw him at Sunsplash, 93. Kingston, Jamaica, and been on it before then, still on it.
Bless it, bless it. You enjoy the show?
Love the show, love the show. Long time fan, man. One of my favorite groups, man. It is, man.
Yes, sir.
Love it there, man.
Love, all right.
Yeah, I've seen the band many times in my life, and I give thanks every time, man. They're still on point and fire every time.
My very first show, I enjoyed it very
What?
much. My very
What?
first show, I loved it.
Tell David Hines and Still Pulse how you felt about the performance.
The best concert I've been to in my life. I will pay again just to see them. I loved it. I've
What?
been listening to reggae all my life, and I've been listening to Still Post Living Legacy album.
Boom.
My very first time seeing them live.
All
will
right,
come
touch
back
me again.
again.
How'd you enjoy the show?
I loved it.
Very first Still Paul show?
No, this is actually my fourth.
Ah.
Yes.
So you listened to a lot of Still Pulse while we was going through the pandemic?
Yes, I do.
Tell me some of your favorite tunes.
I love roller skates. I love Your House.
That's a popular one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, roller skates.
Yes, I loved it.
Your very first Still Paul show?
Very first Still Full show, yes.
And are you from around the area?
I'm from Wilmington, yes.
Oh, okay.
I loved it.
Very first Still Paul show?
Very first. My business partner, he's seen them all the time, but this is my very first time.
Okay.
Very first time. So I'm
Okay.
excited to go meet and everything.
Okay.
They just gave me the set list. I feel so special.
All right, protection. Is this your first Still Paul show?
No.
And how'd you enjoy it? How many years you been listening to Still
We
Paul?
started Vibing in Peace in Greensboro in 2019.
You from around the area?
Charlotte.
Charlotte?
Vibing in Peace.
You drove all the way from Charlotte tonight?
I did.
Okay, okay. All right, you see the king here. How you enjoy this show?
Guys, legends, living legends, man.
Long time you listen to Still Paul?
Yeah, since I've been a young boy, man.
Uh-huh.
And actually come here to perform. It's the second time I'm here to
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
perform.
Uh-huh.
Reggae5.tv are the TV. You're watching all the TV.